Hi guys, if you want to learn how to make this boho style bracelet, keep watching. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Bunny Brick Designs. I'm Cindy, and today we're going to be doing something relatively quick, just because I'm getting ready for a show this weekend called Midwest Bun Fest, so I've got a ton of stuff to do. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so we're going to be making a boho bracelet, and I showed you that at the beginning, the finished product. So I'm going to show you now how we actually made that. So I have here just an 11-inch zip tie. This is usually what I will use to make the bracelet. You want to make it big enough that it's going to go over your wrist, but not so big that it's, you know, going to fall off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take our wire cutters, snip off the end here, and then I will usually, I'm not going to on this video just because it's going to, it would take too long to let the glue dry. I use duct tape anyways just to secure it. I'll usually put some glue in there. You can use hot glue, you can use E6000 just to kind of secure it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some duct tape, and I'll show you how to do this because I like to reinforce all my glued points with duct tape anyway. So we're just going to fold it over and make sure that it's tight over the wrists, but not so tight that it's going to be hard to get on. I think that's a good size. Usually, just because when you stick your hand in the duct tape, that kind of goes on pretty good. I like to make it just about the same size as the duct tape roll. And I'm just going to, for now, just kind of tape this in place. And like I said, normally I would do glue, but for speed and just for this video, I'm going to use just the duct tape this time. And this does not have to be perfect. Just wrap it around until you've got it nice and secure. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be a little thicker there, but that's fine. And then usually what I'll do, if I feel like it's too thick, I will take duct tape and kind of wrap around the whole thing. And again, this is going to be hidden, so nobody's going to see this, so it doesn't really matter. I just kind of wanted to thin out so that there was a little bit thicker on one side there, and there's going to be bubbles, which is fine because it's going to add interest to the bracelet once we put the fabric on. And I'm going to do this around the bracelet just because that way the bracelet has thick and thin spots, and it also gives it a little more stability. And again, this does not have to be neat, clean. It can be messy. I'm going to do one more on this side. And it's not going to be quite round just yet. So if you're looking at it going, well, that's not a nice round bracelet, nobody's going to want that. Once I'm done, I guarantee you with the wire and the fabric, everything will be nice and round and very pretty, and it'll look good. I usually sell these for, like, I don't know, 3 for $8, 4 for, you know, 4 for $10. It just depends on what kind of fabric I'm using, what kind of beads, what kind of wire. All right, so there. So now I've got my bracelet form. And again, it's not quite perfect, but like I said, once we get the fabric going and we get all of that going, it'll be fine. All right, so that fits nicely on the wrist. It'll set nicely there. So what I have is this beautiful, beautiful fabric. I buy this stuff, you know, for other projects, and then I like to use scraps, or sometimes I'll just buy this fabric just to use to make bracelets, my boho bracelets. And then I know as beaders, we all have this. And I'm going to zoom you guys out just a little bit here. The bead soup, and I buy bead bags from Fire Mountain Gems. They have these things where they have all these crazy beads in here. Little beads, big beads, and then all of my beads. So that's one box. And that's one. I actually have a second one that has a bunch of junk in it. And I think I have a third one somewhere too. So, yeah. And this one's actually my biggest one. So the one I showed you at first was the start of the second or third, but I have all of these. Some of them are, you know, just sourced into color. I have another bag of those beads. And on this bag, and I may pull that into that bin, they have these black dotted beads. And I was looking at those. So these little brown and black beads. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here later, and we're going to be pulling out beads that we think we're going to like. And I'm actually going to probably open them and dump them, or just use what's already in this bin. Just kind of pick through. We've got little stones, little wood beads, pretty silver beads, some shells. Those would make nice earrings. So yeah, so I've got all of these from just random mixes that I've gotten, the bead boxes, some shells that I bought to do some jewelry. And so we're going to use up some of these. So this is going to be a great way to use up some of those beads. And actually, I see some beads I'm going to take out because I do like these little wooden beads here to make the bracelet. But we'll kind of, you know, go through that. And then, of course, we've got all these little stone chips. They're very tiny. So yeah, we'll get going on that. And so what did I do with my, and I just lost my bracelet. Did I throw my bracelet in one of those bins? Oh. Nope, I dropped it on the floor. All right. So what I did was I just cut strips, and they're not even. And I just used a pinking shear because I couldn't find my regular shears. And as you can see, they're not at all, I'm going to set this aside. They're not at all even, and it doesn't have to be. So what we're going to do to get this started is I am just going to fold over one side so that I have a nice finished edge. And I am just going to hold it and just start wrapping around the bracelet. And you're just going to hold it and wrap so that your finished edge is always to the outside. And I call it a finished edge because it's folded over. It's not, and actually I'm doing that backwards. Ha. It's this side that needs to be folded. Sorry about that. And take that back. It's been a while since I've done these because I usually do them while I'm sitting and watching TV. But I want my finished edge so that when I wrap over, it's going to be hidden and you're not going to see the rough edge. And you're just going to wrap And we may do, you know, 1 strip of fabric, 2 strips of fabric. It depends on how thick you want to make the bracelet. Sometimes I've doubled up with the zip ties where I've had it a wider bracelet. You can also do that. That looks good too. So we're just going to continue wrapping. And again, I'm not really caring about how messy or if there's wrinkles or anything in here, because that's going to add to the overall look of this bracelet. It's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty. And I know, you know, if you've got like this one, it seems like there's an awful lot of green. Again, when we go back over it, we might end up with a lot of blue, and each bracelet's going to be different. So when you're designing with the fabrics, be careful about picking out your beads ahead of time, because you might pick out these gorgeous beads that go well with this purple, but the green is what's showing, and then it'll throw your design all off. So I like to do my beads last. All right, I'm going to continue wrapping, and we're almost back to the edge, and I think 1 strip ought to be enough. So I'm just going to continue wrapping, and I'm probably going to speed this up to get this done for you, and I will be quiet here for a minute. All right, now I'm going to fold both sides over on this last couple of wraps. And it's going to look weird for the first one, but the second one will be better. Now you have your bracelet and you have your wraps. Now you can tighten this up. You can do whatever you need to do to make it, you know, comfortable for you. It will fit nicely over the wrist. It's a little tight for my wrist, but and that may be just because I've got I'm holding it with my hand. So I'm just going to take a piece of scrap wire here and just literally wrap it around just enough to hold it, and just see how hard it is to get over my hand. Not really hard, and you kind of want it tight, but not super tight. So at this point, I may take off some rounds of fabric, or I may leave this and just have this for a smaller wrist so that it's a different size. And I'm just going to leave that little piece of silver scrap wire on for this next stage until we get to that point. So I've taken the fabric, rolled it around. Now I'm going to take, and I think this is 26 gauge copper wire, and it really doesn't have to be super strong wire. You can use 26 gauge, you can use 24 gauge, you can use however much you want. I am just going to take and make a little loop on the ends so I have something, just something to hold down. And I'm just going to take, I don't know, a wingspan length, so maybe 3 feet of this wire. And you can always add more, and you can always add different gauges of wire. So you can add 26 gauge, 24 gauge, 20 gauge, 18 gauge, however you want it. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on the spot with our loop, and we're just going to start on the inside, and we're just going to wrap just once. Let me get the wire out of the way. and then twice just to get it started so that we've tacked down that fabric. Now this is going to be hidden with the wires and the beads because we're going to add, you know, plenty of beads, plenty of wire. And so I am now going to grab out my bead stash and I'm going to start finding some beads that I like with this. Now I had these wood beads that I did like, so I think I'm going to put a couple of those on. And again, being boho, you want this to be random. So I'm going to put my bead on and then wrap. And then I may wrap. And while that's looking, you know, kind of plain, we're going to continue on. So I am going to, I think, open up this because I see some beads in there that I want to use. And I'm just going to dump it into my bead mix. And again, I'm just going to start throwing random beads on this with no real particular design in mind. So bigger, smaller, different colors. I'm going to try to keep it within the colors that we've got in this. So you wouldn't want to put, for example, a bright red one necessarily. While that would stand out, I don't know if that would look good. Now that might look good. You know, you could do a black one. You can do silver. You could do, you know, any of the colors that are, you know, gold. Even though you're working with copper, you can mix your metals because, again, boho allows you to do that. Now, I like that blue one. I may find some pinks to throw in here. And see, I did a wire in between there, but no wire in between there, and that's fine. Try to keep your beads up top and just keep going around the bracelet until you have your desired look. And I'm going to use some of these little flower beads. I think they're cute. So that one's a black or brown flower bead. I'm going to throw another one of these wood ones on. I'm going to wrap. A little tiny pearl. And I think I'm going to throw one of these little diamond shapes. So I'm going to put 2 beads on this one. And that's the beauty of this. So now this isn't all the beads and all the wire that's going to go on here. This is just the first pass, first part. I think I want some pink, but not super bright. I think as I dig through and look, maybe a pink pearl. That's cute. You could also do some of these flower beads. I think they're a little bit big for this bracelet. I think those would be perfect for when I do the double bracelets. I'm going to put another one of these long purple ones. And then wrap. Wire a couple times. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a boho bracelet. I'm going to throw another one of those wood beads. And this is a good way to use up your stash. Use up those beads that you don't have a whole lot of, or you don't really know what to do with. Gonna throw a white pearl. Also good for if you have leftover stone chips, if you want to do one that's all stone chips. Ooh, there's a nice blue one. And we're just going to wrap again. And so while there's beads on there and there's, you know, a space there, we're going to go back through with another wire and some more beads, but we're going to be going in the opposite direction. This way it gives it a little bit more contrast to your design. It makes it a little more fun. And I think I am going to throw a little pink pearl there. Now the other thing you can use, which we may use in the next pass, is some of those seed beads from the Seriously Sassy that I didn't want to use. So now I have like a little bit of wire left. What I'm going to do is I am just going to start going back through. And I think what I'm going to do in going back through is take some of these beads from the seed beads from the Seriously Sassy and just kind of add it in between. Which will use up those beads. These are those seed beads that are uneven and not uniform. Are great for this boho style bracelet. And so now here, I'm going to put another bead in between those. I think I'm going to do a dark blue pearl. And then another seed bead. Oops. And again, you can put anything you want on it. Again, it's your creation, your design. And now I'm coming to the end, so I'm just going to wrap. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot under one of these wires. And you may need your pliers to do it. Lift up on one of those. Just kind of tuck it in. So this is going to anchor it under one of those wires. And I'm just going to wrap it a second time. Just so it's not going to go anywhere. And then you can take it and just curl it. And make a nice little loop. It doesn't have to be pretty because it's on the inside, and just flatten it down so that it's not going to go anywhere. Now, before I continue on wrapping with the wires, what I do is I like to look at where I've crisscrossed and just start bending the wires in random spots, especially those ones that don't have any beads. This is going to do two things. This is going to give it some visual interest, but it's also going to tighten up those beads. So if you want to keep those beads in a specific spot, do this on both sides of the bead. And it's going to tighten it up. And we're just going to keep doing that until you've got what you like. And if you don't like something and you want to change the way it looks, you know, you say, hey, I think that's too close together. You know what? Put a second kink in it. Put a third kink in it. It's not going to hurt it. It'll make the wires zigzag and provide some visual interest. If you don't like something like that one's too high up, you just want to flatten it down, It's wire. It'll, and being 24 or 26 gauge, it's going to be very pliable, very easy to use. So this is great for a beginning beater. And it's also great to use up your stash. So I'm just randomly doing this, and then I'm going to grab another piece of wire here in a minute. And there. So far that's looking pretty good. Now I don't need as big a piece of wire as I had before, so I'm just going to take probably a smaller piece of wire. And now you don't have to necessarily have the beads just on the outside. You can put them on the sides. You can put them, and anywhere you want. Again, your design, your creation, if you want to have dangles and drops. So I left off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this wire actually to those loops. Doesn't really matter. It's just getting the wire in and wrapped around it so that you have a starting point. And I am going to curl, and seeing that he wants to curl that way, we're just going to curl him. So I just tucked him under underneath, and what I may do is just take this little curl. So there's this little curl sticking up. I'm going to lift up this wire here, and I'm just going to see if I can stick him up underneath that. And then fold him over. And again, just taking my pliers, and if you have flat nose, do I have flat? Flat pliers work great. You can just flatten this down. You don't want to have any snags. So you will want to feel that. Make sure there's no snags. And then I can now start adding in some more of those, what I like to call wonky seed beads. And so, because there wasn't one there, I'm going to stick one there. And one there. And then I'm going to put a couple on. And again, this is why I like to do random, because I am going to go here in between those two. And then I'm going to do another one here. And I'm probably going in the wrong direction, but that's fine. Because I'm not crisscrossing anymore. So I probably should have started in the other direction, but that's fine. We can force a crisscross. Because again, it's wire. It moves. It bends. It stays in place. And if you see any ends, like you see these are sticking out, if you need to, you can use your wire to help tuck those down by just adding in, for example, I'm going to put a seed bead right there. I'm going to take this guy I'm going to wrap him there. And again, I've got extra wire. So I am just going to go back around here and fill in with some of this. And I think that's good. So I am going to, again, find a spot on one of the lower wires to tuck it under, wrap it around, and tuck it under a second time just to secure it so that it's secure. And then I'm just going to cut off the excess, curl in my end, making a loop, and then I'm just going to use, I'm going to use my flat nose pliers, if I can get them over that spot, just to kind of tuck it down. Tuck it in because we don't want anything sticking out. And then those straight wires, if you want to just bend them, give them a nice twist. You can leave some of them straight. You can leave some of them not touched. And you can have more in some spots, less than others. That's what makes it a wonderful boho bracelet. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to bring you down for a little bit of a close-up here. So as you can see, and if you see something, you know, sticking out you don't like that loop there, which is my starting loop, curl it on up. Tap it down. And if you still don't like it, you can always move the bead over top of it or around it. But yeah, so this is a quick boho bracelet using scrap fabrics and your scrap beads. So it fits on nicely. It's kind of chunky. This one's chunky because I added a lot of fabric and a lot of duct tape. Sometimes I'll just put a little tiny piece of duct tape and make them super thin. I kind of wanted to make a big chunky bracelet because I want to do several chunky stackings so that it would have a long on my wrist and actually, you know, great for, you know, just everyday use. And they're really comfortable because they're soft. So when you're working, especially if you work like I do at other times I work on the computer, this isn't so bad on your wrist because it's soft and it bends. And then if it does get misshapen, so, you know, it's bent out of shape, all you have to do is just give it a little squeeze and the wire will come back into place. So anyways, just a quick one for you. Hope you enjoyed it. And I will probably be doing some videos of Bunfest so you can see what it's like. You know, doing shows if you haven't done them before. And I will see you in the next one. So thanks for watching.